I usually drive when it comes to business trips within the country. I don't know why, but there is something about long scenic drives that relaxes me. More often than not, these business trips tend to take me far away from my home. So, I end up booking a room for the night in one of many motels and roadside inns that were littered along the highway. Sometimes, I'm lucky there is a room available, other times, not so much. This happens especially during peak months of June and July. And when there is no hotel available, it's either I driving to find another one or sleep in the car. On one particular trip, and I was quite tired, I was about to resign myself to pulling out the car's sleeping bag and pillows when I came across an inn. The Rocky Wood Inn. Okay, that sounded rugged. There was a huge vacancy sign flashing. Okay, that was what convinced me to check in, apart from the fact that there was particularly no other building around. I entered the foyer. It was quite homey and inviting. I made my way to the front desk. "Hi, I need a room for the night, please," I said to the concierge. The concierge looked through her computer and after maybe 3 minutes, gave me a key card and checked me in. I went to my room and went to sleep. It was probably 20 minutes past 12 when I felt the room get immensely cold. I groggily woke up and reached for the lamp on the nightstand, intent on adjusting the AC. As I reached for the switch, something cold and clammy grabbed my hands as I did so. I jolted awake and quickly turned on the light to see what grabbed me. I looked around the room. There was no one. Did I imagine it? I opened the closet and the bathroom. Nothing. Okay, that was quite creepy. I glanced at my arm. There were long, charred-looking finger marks that stretched across my arm. That sent chills down my spine. I then went to the bathroom and tried and washed it off. I was getting a bit scared as to what grabbed me. I managed to wash some of it off, but there were still marks. I went back to bed since I was still very tired from the drive. No sooner had my head hit the pillow, I heard an agonized whisper. I suddenly felt being pulled out of bed. I landed on my rear. I was now beginning to get terrified as I looked at my ankles. The same charred finger marks were wrapped around them. That's when I suddenly saw it. Standing in front of me was a hazy, shadowy figure of a man wearing a tattered suit. He had a burnt face and was completely covered in ash and burn marks. He was staring at me intently with hazy white eyes, and he opened his mouth. I felt my heart race with fear as I heard a guttural groan. I closed my eyes and ears, hoping it was just a dream and would go away. I opened my eyes, and the man was gone. In the morning, while I was checking out, the manager asked me how my stay was. I looked at him and said, "It was all right. The room was lovely and clean." "Did you sleep well?" he asked. I noticed that there was an inquisitive and curious tone in his voice. "Well, I don't mean to complain," I started. "But you saw him, didn't you?" He completed the sentence. I looked at him and then asked about it. He then said, "In the early 60s, this roadside inn attracted all types of folks. One of them was a mafioso. He was notorious for sleeping around with daughters of several mafia bosses. One day, he went too far and slept with the daughter of a very dangerous mafia boss. When he found out, the boss sent his men to the room where the man was staying. They locked the man in, and they set the room on fire. The man died, and the room was rebuilt. But ever since then, guests who stay in that room often feel cold and they see him." The manager said, "More often than not, guests tend to request for room changes when they see him, or they simply check out." "If the room I was staying in was haunted," I started, "why check me in that room?" "It's strange," he replied. "But when my front desk looked at the room availability, only that room appeared. Which was strange, because I personally looked at the availability right after, and there were other rooms as well. It's as if something or someone wanted you there. I did not like the sound of that. I remained calm as I drove out of the driveway. I tried my best to avoid the view of the burnt man staring at me from the window. I still drive town to town, mind you, but nowadays, I check in at hotels at least a day earlier or via online booking. I'd rather invest in a good night's sleep than another night of terror.